Guys, I have a very important question for you. Y'all ready to get funky? Hey, my name is JT, and I have a serious drug addiction to this game called Pizza Tower. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let me tell you about the game. So Pizza Tower is a fast-paced 2D platformer made by Tour de Pizza. A game that takes heavy inspiration from the Wario Land series, mainly Wario Land 4. Back in the day, I loved playing me some Wario Land 4. Other than Wario Land Shake It on the Wii as well, I've never touched the other Wario Land games in the series, but man, my cousin and I played the hell out of this game when we were kids. It also freaked the fuck out of us with the way the bosses looked. Like, look at this shit. What is this shit? Kill it. Kill it with fire. Well, after that resurfaced trauma, how about we get into the story of Pizza Tower? In a pizza restaurant in the middle of nowhere, the owner and main protagonist of the game, Peppino Spaghetti, yes, that's his actual name, and it's beautiful, is unfortunately going through some debts and loans with his establishment, to which I say, gee, maybe if you didn't build your restaurant in the middle of bumblefuck nowhere, you'd probably get more customers. Then just out of fucking nowhere, this floating sentient pizza called Pizza Face just goes, hey! Fuck you! And threatens to blow up Mr. Spaghetti's restaurant with a laser cause I guess he's just that damn bored. With that threat established, Peppino alongside his right-hand man Gustavo race towards Pizza Face's tower to take him and his tower down and to save his restaurant from going kablooey, and thank God that's it for the story! Look, after the Brock the Investigator retrospective, I am so happy that going from that to this explaining the story is so much easier for me. Granted, I still love how that retrospective came out and I appreciate all the positive feedback I got from you guys on it. Much love, but explaining this plot was like a breath of fresh air for me. I mean, as a standard 2D platformer, I shouldn't expect a heavy-ass story from it anyways, but it's still nice on my cranium. But you know what? None of that matters because the real meat and potatoes of this game is its gameplay, and by God, is it some damn good meat and potatoes. Okay, so the first thing that I think that needs to be addressed in this game is the control. Now, I'll be the first to say that the control feels very solid, responsive, and most of all satisfying once you've gotten the hang of it. I repeat, once you've gotten the hang of it. I ain't gonna lie, when I first played this game, Peppino felt overwhelming to control. What I mean by that is my man has a lot of moves to work with, and at first, it was too much for my brain to register it all. I guess having the threat of his restaurant being fucking obliterated has awakened Peppino's latent abilities, cause other than the standard walking and jumping, he can run at Mach 2 and kick it up to Mach 3 once you run long enough. He can grab enemies to yeet them left, right, up, and fucking slam them into the ground from the air. He can crawl, slide after a run, and dive bomb in midair after a run into a slide. He can run up walls, uppercut, which can also be used as a pseudo double jump, and body slam. You can even do a different variation of the body slam and elbow drop by pressing the jump button during a dive. He can super jump by holding up on the left control stick after running from Mach 2 or 3, and he can cancel out of it and do a shoulder bash by pressing the grab button during the super jump. And lastly, one of my favorite techniques he can do is strike a pose. In reality, this is your counter move, and if you press it right before an enemy is about to hit you, you can use it to say, bitch! You can even hold down the counter button and start breakdancing, which does nothing, but you'll never convince me Peppino can't bust a move. God fucking damn it, Future JT here. I forgot to mention that Peppino also has another move called a Super Taunt, which is a screen nuke that Peppino can do every time he kills at least 10 enemies. I forgot to mention it in the script, because it's not in the script. God fucking damn it. So yeah, it can be rough at first juggling all these moves into a consistent flow, but practice does make perfect after all. Shit, when I first played the game, I was like... But after some time adapting to the controls, I was like, let's fucking go! But occasionally I still, like Wario Land 4, the main goal in each level is to make it to the end and knock down John Pillar here. Once you do that, the level begins to crumble and you gotta book it back to the start of the level before Pizza Face wakes up from his beauty sleep. The cool thing is that even if time runs out, you're not immediately done for since you don't lose unless Pizza Face actually catches you once he wakes up. It kinda makes the levels more thrilling in that regard. How confident are you in your abilities to avoid them long enough to make it to the end? Really adds an extra challenge to a game that already has a challenge to it. What is that challenge? Ugh, we'll get to that later. Also, like Wario Land 4, Peppino can gain access to certain powers depending on what fucks him up in a level. It can be something from riding a weenie, having a rocket shoved up his ass, to just straight up fucking dying. I love that depending on what's currently happening to Peppino, that TV monitor on the top right of the screen will reflect it. And some of the shit that pops up got a good chuckle out of me. Like this one where he gets turned into a pizza with a face that says, I hate everything about today. Or this one when he's hitting Mach 3 and his face just says... At first, I thought the monitor represented your health bar, but I learned later that you don't have one in levels, meaning you can get hit as many times as you want and you won't die, though you'll get a message in a different screen on your monitor every 10 hits saying you hurt Peppino and like, what's going on with these screens that show up? Like, who's this guy? Or this guy? Or what the fuck? The only time you have actual health is with boss fights, and they're pretty dang fun. They're not really difficult in my honest opinion, like even on my first try. I got hit a lot, yeah, but I didn't die to any of these guys. Especially since health will drop every few hits you land on the boss. Nope, not even the final boss, which, oh my god, can we talk about that real quick? So Pizza Face has 3 phases in his fight, right? The first phase is whatever, you just throw his minions back at him. But the second phase reveals that the sentient floating Pizza Face was a mech controlled by a sentient pizza slice named Pizza Head. Alright then. Anyway, after that phase of putting some bullet holes in the cheesy fuck, the final phase starts, and it's personally so satisfying to me. Pizza Head brings back every boss you fought on the way here, and it becomes a standard boss rush. Now, normally I don't care much for boss rushes. I don't hate them, but I don't straight up like them either. But this one? Just seeing these guys again, and the mere thought of fighting them again after everything else Peppino has been through today, causes the man to fucking snap and proceeds to beat the ever-loving shit out of each boss one by one. What took multiple hits to beat them the first time, they go down with just 4 grabs each now, and watching Peppino lay the beatdown on them is so amazing. The cherry on top being his beatdown on Pizza Head, because during the final hits, he just straight up goes apeshit on him, bringing him to the sky and ending it with a fucking pile driver, putting that nigga's head straight into the tower. Oh, it's so good! Okay. Okay, so where did I leave off again? Alright. So yeah, the bosses aren't really all that hard on their own. Now the real challenge comes from trying to P-rank the levels and bosses. So like a lot of games, this game has a ranking system, and depending on how well you play a level or boss, you'll get a rank based on your performance. You can always see your current rank in a level on the top left of the screen, and that acts like a progress bar, and it fills up the better you do. The ranks can range from D, C, B okay, A, S, and the best rank being... Now, aside from getting extra outfits that Peppino can wear and completing some chef tasks, which are the in-game achievements, getting the best rank is entirely optional. Personally, I'd say if you've somewhat mastered the controls, going for the P rank can be a really fun and fulfilling challenge when you actually do go for it, for the most part, because holy fuck, achieving it is no easy feat. There are a few factors that play in getting a better rank. The amount of enemies you kill, the secrets you find in every level, which there are 3 of each, the amount of toppings you pick up, freeing the cage toppings, which there are 5 of in each level, and you need to rescue most of these guys throughout the game, since each one gives you 10 bucks, which you need since this asshole Mr. Stick won't let you fight the boss of the world unless you pay his greedy ass enough money. Moneybags ass motherfucker. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, and grabbing Jerome the janitor and bringing him to the locked door to grab that level's treasure also greatly boosts your score. Grabbing the treasure in every level is also required to get the true ending of the game, but finding Jerome in the locked door isn't really that difficult to find in my opinion. But the main factor that'll determine if you get a P rank or not is this fucking bar right here. You see this? That's the chain bar. When you kill enemies, the number goes up, and if you grab the other factors I mentioned earlier, the progress bar will go up, making sure you keep the combos going. You got that? Good, because the moment you kill your first enemy when the level starts, that son of a bitch has to stay on screen the entire level. If at any point that bar goes away before you finish the level, you ain't getting the P rank. So you gotta be fast, efficient, and most of all careful when going through a level, because guess what? Any kind of damage you take will make your chain meter take a nosedive, and when that happens, when? Not if. It fucking sucks! Now thankfully, the game gives you a chance to bring your meter back up if you act on it quick enough by essentially killing an enemy immediately after it attacked you. But if that bar was already low enough when you got hit, then the combo ends and you gotta reset the level for another chance at the P rank. And even then, you can't just leave the level immediately, because if you do, you won't have enough points for the P rank. That's where the lap 2s come into play. When you beat a level for the first time and then play it again, you can access its lap 2 portal. But to save yourself some time, here's a tip for you. If you beat the tutorial in under 2 minutes, you can unlock every lap 2 in the game right from the start. Lap 2s are exactly what they sound like. You hop in it and go through the escape sequence again, only your time is shorter since you already ran through it once before. Without doing the second lap, the highest rank you're gonna get is an A rank. Completing the second lap and finding all the secrets in a level are required in order to get a P rank. And nothing is more infuriating than getting near the end of a run just to get mollywopped by an enemy and seeing your chain meter go bye-bye. Doubly so if you can see the P rank right there, and then you get thwacked and your bar goes away and you see it go from a P to an S, and My first time getting a P rank was with Pepperman because I was curious if there was a rank that was better than an A if I was able to beat him without getting hit. Unlike levels, there's no chain bar in boss fights since there's just one guy you're fighting. So that means you won't know your rank until the end of the fight. And after I got it, I checked the achievement list to see if there was one for getting all P ranks in the game, and I was sort of right. You get an achievement for each world that has all P ranks. At first I was like, oh fuck, I bet this shit is gonna give me fucking Crash 4 106% flashbacks. But as I grew more confident with Peppino's moveset, I decided to give it a shot, and yeah, there were some infuriating parts. Fucker. I parried, I pressed triangle, I parried. What was that? I parried. Oh, you want to parry now, Gustavo? But nowhere near the degree of doing everything in Crash 4. The parts that gave me the most shit were P-ranking the final boss cause just one fuck up in this 3-phase fight and you gotta restart the entire thing. Shit took me like several hours to do the first time and all I got was this stupid shirt. Fucking tits. And Gnome Forest, one of 2 levels that have you take control of Gustavo and Brick, who I should have brought up earlier, but my ass doesn't know how to segue properly. In the first 2 worlds, you can see these 2 butt heads in the hub, but by the 3rd world, they've called a truce and you can play as them, and I don't entirely like playing as them. Let me clarify. Compared to Peppino's moveset, Gustavo and Brick don't get nearly as much love. Like, don't get me wrong, I still enjoy playing as them to an extent, but aside from using Brick as a projectile, which is pretty satisfying to use especially on a row of enemies, they just feel like a lesser Peppino. They can't super jump, they can't dive into a roll to keep the pace going, and instead of a wall run, they can jump from wall to wall, which is okay, but it feels kind of weird since you have to start by double jumping towards the wall first and then hold the jump button down afterwards to continue the wall jump. It just feels weird to do that instead of pressing the jump button every time you're near the wall, but you'll get used to it. Gustavo and Brick almost feel like a last minute inclusion since they're only in 2 of the 20 levels in the game, so it's not all that bad. But hey, I'd be lying if I didn't say Gustavo visually didn't look just adorable. Look at him, he's such a little cutie. And his interactions with Brick in the hub are funny too. One moment you're beating each other's ass, and the next you're playing poker. At the end of every run, you'll be judged by Peppino and he'll rank you depending on your percentage and how fast you beat the game. Ranks such as, wow, holy shit, you're quick as hell, and that's the one, officer! Visually, I love how this game looks, from the different locations you visit in every level, to the character designs all around. Which, by the way, this tower is way more fucking huge on the inside. Like, it's just a regular ass tower on the outside, but on the inside, it's got a beach, a forest, a city, and a whole ass goddamn planet. The game looks like it was made in MS Paint, and I mean that in the best way, because the animations of the characters are so lively, especially from Peppino himself. His game may have been inspired by him, but Peppino ain't Wario. There's no cockiness, bravado, or confidence behind this man whatsoever. Yeah, he can sure dish it out when it comes to it, but the man is constantly on edge. And I don't blame him, a fucking laser is being pointed at his restaurant. Shit, I'd be on edge too. Although I did find it weird that when you get to the final boss on the roof, the laser is nowhere to be seen, and I'm thinking, that bitch lied to me. I went through all that, stressed the fuck out, and that nigga didn't even have a you fucking shit pizza. This game's art style was inspired by cartoons from the 90s and early 2000s. The first thing I thought about when I first played the game was that it reminded me of Courage the Cowardly Dog. Then I found out that was one of the main inspirations for the art. I mean, look, it's practically identical. I also love that the start of every level has an intro card like the start of an episode from a cartoon. It fits perfectly with the aesthetic they were going for. My favorite being a level in World 4 because it's literally titled, Oh Shit. You can find references aplenty scattered throughout the game too. Most of them I noticed being Sonic related. Robotnik's diploma, one of Peppino's scrap taunts from an early build was just him doing the Sonic Adventure pose, which I'm sad was scrapped, but fake Peppino's got him covered there. Hell, there's this character from the Sage 2019 demo named Snick who was Sonic in all but name. He could super peel out, turn super when he super jumps, and he finishes stages by hitting a wooden goalpost with his face on it. And as a Sonic fan, I completely approve of all of this. Besides that, the others I noticed were Samus's screw attack from Metroid. Gustavo is essentially Mario with some of his animations. The third boss, the Noise, is an obvious reference to Domino's mascot, the Noid, because that's what people wanted. Peppino even took Moe's funk dancing for self-defense class. Now all he needs is a gun and oh sweet Jesus, he took the whole class! There are also these official comics made by the developer that you can find with a quick Google search. They have about the same energy as the game in terms of its silliness, so I'd recommend giving them a quick read. Got a chuckle out of me here and there, especially this strip where Peppino drinks semen and you couldn't convince me otherwise. Man, if I had a nickel for every time I read a comic where a character drinks semen, I'd have 2 nickels, which ain't a lot, but what the fuck? Why'd that happen twice? Now that soundtrack though. Let me tell you about that soundtrack though. This soundtrack without a doubt in my mind fucks and it makes me moist in all the right areas. Sometimes in the wrong areas, but that's okay cause it fucks. There isn't a single track in this game that doesn't make me bop my head with its musical variety because these tracks just No matter how many times I play this game, I never tire of the soundtrack. It's so damn good. The names of some of these soundtracks, on the other hand, are questionable to say the least. Yes, put that tree on my pizza, there's a bone in my spaghetti, the death I deserve a rollie, and don't preheat your oven, because if you do, the song won't play? What kind of shit is that? Bitch, I'll preheat my oven right now. It's not gonna magically stop my music. What? Yeah, so if you clearly couldn't tell by this video, I fucking love this game. Seriously, like, I've played this game like 7 or 8 times at this point, and that's not including the 3 streams where I did a 101% run, a fast as fuck run, and an Eevee run where I wore an Eevee onesie the whole stream. I regret nothing. Oh, that's another thing I love about this game. The mods. This game has some amazing mods, like the Eevee one I mentioned earlier, a co-op mod where another player can be the noise. I was able to get Xavier in on this one, and it certainly was a time. And simple mods, like changing the transition screen, switching from Gustavo to Peppino, from saying back to that guy, to back to that bitch. Hell, after this video goes up, I'm gonna do another mod stream where I play as Pinkie Pie because the effort in this is amazing. And it's oddly fitting seeing Pinkie Pie in this environment. Hey, anything that gives me another reason to play this game again. I love this game so much that during this year's Kineticon, I took a picture with Peppino himself. Twice. So thanks Torta Pizza for making a game that hasn't given me a drug addiction this bad since Sonic Mania. And if y'all want to try this game out for yourself, you can view the Steam page for it in the description below. So with all that said, y'all have a good night, thanks for watching, and remember, I'm only okay. Catch y'all in the next video, laters!